Shamata, the word itself can be broken down into two root Sanskrit words. The first, shama, which is peace, right? Like Shema in Hebrew or salam. Shama is the stillness, the contentment, the sanctuarious calm. And then to add ta at the end of that, ta, that is to abide within, or to take up residence with, or to be one that practices this. So shamatha is calmfully, peacefully abiding. Remaining in calm space. Returning to sanctuarious inner realms of stillness. It's calm as a practice. It calms the nervous system because it actually disengages. As a method, it disengages from all mental constructs. We call shamatha an exclusive practice because it anchors us to one chosen aspect of reality. We bind or anchor to just one very simple feature of attention. And we disengage from everything that's not that chosen anchor. So we peel away all distractions and return again and again and again to an anchor. And for us, the anchor, and for many, the anchor is breath awareness. So shamatha practice at its essence is stripping away anything that's not full marriage, keen interest with the breath. So we'll speak purpose of shamatha, and then we'll speak method. Purpose is really to develop 3 qualities over an extended period of time. The first is relaxation. So at its baseline, shamatha promotes an ease of being because it's clearing away the confluence of conditions that is so turbulent, so chaotic to the system. We actually disengage from the regular momentum of mundane world. So the first quality is this calmness that's really negating chaos. Simplification. The second quality we develop in shamatha, the purpose for cultivating this practice, is what we call wakefulness in the Dharma, which is really a vivid presence or alertness. So there's a sharp perception. Continuing to return again and again to the same anchor chisels our neuroplastic response to stay hyper alert, disciplined on one specific focus. So we're sculpting the gray matter of the brain, the malleability of the mind to focus on a singular entity, which is a really useful thing at times. The third quality we develop with shamatha is a balance between the first and the second. So having too much relaxation and ease and calmness in the system, one can kind of revert to apathy or lethargy. We often call that sinking in mindfulness practice. and cultivating too much. So you could think of calming as the yin, hyper alert awareness, vivid clarity, and wakefulness is very yang. It's very active. So having too much of that can lend itself to anxiety or rigidity. And so the third quality that we develop with shamatha is stability between calmness and wakefulness. And it's because we're binding to the breath, it's this ever-present flow of breathing in wakeful attention and breathing out calm awareness. So a little bit of yang activity on the inhale, what we call upaya, the doing, the action. And then the disengaging from the action, that calming on the exhale. What the Chinese call wu wei. You've heard this term before, effortless action. So effortlessness is one arm of shamatha, and activity is the other, meaning there's a real driven purpose. When the first two qualities are consistent, we have this continuity of wakeful ease. We're awake and alert and at ease simultaneously. So now how to develop these three qualities? The method of shamatha is to stay with the naturally occurring breath as the anchor. So it's a one-pointedness, meaning we're not interested in any other feature of reality. In shamatha, we're actually exiling, we're actually moving away from any other phenomena that occurs during the practice time. So there's this entrainment of, you could think of it as attentional stability, stabilizing on a certain feature of reality and attending to that solely. So anytime you're on task in shamatha is when you're riding the breath. Breath is coming and going, and you just ride along with that. So presence and breath, just sinking and married through the practice. Now, maybe if you've been doing it for a long time and you're well practiced and perhaps conditions have aligned in a way that you find yourself in a beautiful Zen dome after a nutritious breakfast and you've rested well and circumstances have aligned so that you're finding yourself attuned in the practice field and you're riding the breath and you're doing it, you're succeeding in shamatha. And maybe if you've really practiced a long time, that lasts for 10 to 30 seconds or so. And then something comes in. Because we have all of these remnants of the psyche that have been trained lifelong to pull our attention elsewhere. So we will inevitably be pulled from the practice continuously. Meditation is a losing battle. We'll always have moments of being off task. And that's not a failure in the practice. It's actually a really potent opportunity to strengthen the neuroplastic return to the anchor. So while the purpose is to stay with the anchor, the method is just noticing when you're off task and really gently guiding yourself back to ride the breath. So we're not condemning ourselves for falling off. We're actually celebrating the moment we're aware that we're no longer on task, and gently coaxing the parts that have started to fray back to the center line of purpose. Breathing in vivid clarity and breathing out Shama, calm, ease. So remembering to return, that's the practice. It's not how long and how rigidly can I hold on to this method. How gently and continuously can I keep returning to myself? In Pali, which is the language the Buddha spoke, it precedes Sanskrit. The word for mindfulness was smriti, S-M-R-I-T-T-I. Smriti means to remember. So mindfulness at its core is remembering to return to the anchor. Two helpful principles that we can bake into the Shamata container. The first is, and this is helpful for any method of mindful cultivation, but developing a tolerance for chaos and for failure. The English word is acceptance. Building a mood tone in the inner body that accepts the practice regardless of how it's going. Which is difficult when we've been trained lifelong to have parts that are really good at analyzing how well we're doing. Or for some parts, are really good at analyzing how poorly we're doing. Because we have the negative bias to seek out what's going wrong. So here we're developing the capacity for accepting life as it is, rather than resenting it or resisting it. In other words, we hope to cherish the practice regardless of how it's going. Particularly with the second mind changing of the Dharma we spoke about yesterday, anicca, impermanence, we're not sure how much longer we'll have to practice. So, cherishing it as a ephemeral experience in this particular body. The second principle I've found really helpful with Shamata is to build a relationship to Hara, to cultivate the inner altar so that we have a place to go and stabilize as we meet the rhythm of the breath. So the anchor can be not just a concept that we're veering towards, but has a physical and energetic locus in the system that we can tether to. This space in the low belly then becomes the inner domain of safety. It's where we build self-trust, where we know we can go to, again, irrespective of how the practice is going. So cultivating, and we'll do a practice, an asana practice, later on to build the fire in the belly, build that warmth and that heat to bring all of our parts to be warmed by